Today we're going to check out this awesome turntable made by Sansui. It's a fully automatic direct drive turntable with CompuEdit. It is the P-L50 by Sansui. And we're going to talk about the two technologies mentioned there, the CompuEdit and the direct drive. And there's one other technology that this turntable has, and that's called linear tracking. So we're going to talk about what linear tracking is also. So on the front of this turntable you see some really cool stuff here. You see a very unique display here on the front, and the display also has some controls. So here on the left you've got a repeat button here. This silver or plastic thing sticking out here is actually the button. And then over on this side you have a start and stop button, and this is probably the primary control for the turntable. On the front here you indicate what speed that you are traveling at, and you indicate whether or not the speed is actually locked in place. So it's locked in, it's traveling at the right speed for that particular disc. Another unique feature that this turntable has, it actually detects the size of the record for you. You don't have to pick what size, so most turntables have either a 7-inch or a 12-inch selector switch on it. This one does it for you, so it knows what speed and what size record to play. So that's another technology built in there. Right here you have a Q button, so you have a up and down, so you can raise and lower your tone arm, and you have a manual left and right so that you can manually move the tone arm to a particular spot on the disc. The only other thing we're going to be using today, over here on the right, we have the Artccessories DJ Pre 2 phono preamplifier. And for playback, in the background here, I have my Yamaha 2.1 sound system that I'll be playing the turntable through for demonstration purposes. So let's go ahead and lift up the hood. And on the inside, you'll see the turntable, and it is a aluminum platter turntable underneath the turntable mat there. On the front here we've got some more controls. You have a sensitivity control, which is shown there on the left, and it has low, medium, and high. And then you have speed, normal, or inverse. Alright, what do those buttons do? Well, sensitivity has to do with the tone arm here. The tone arm actually has inside of it a small, I believe it's infrared detector, that can sense where the grooves are on the record and determine where the tracks begin. So you can basically choose a selection, choose a song that you'd like to hear on the front using these controls, and the sensor on the front of the tone arm will find the spot on the record and play it for you. So you have a sensitivity to the grooves, and it can determine whether or not the songs are there by the spaces in between the grooves or in between the songs. And perhaps, let's say you're playing a 7-inch record that doesn't normally be 45 RPM, but maybe is 33. You can switch the speed to inverse, and it will do the opposite of what it normally would do. Okay, so just a couple of controls there on the front. Now we're going to do something really crazy. We're going to completely remove the top of this unit so that you can see what goes on underneath the turntable. Alright, so we're going to look at the guts of this turntable. The first thing we're going to do is remove the turntable platter. Alright, so I'm going to just grab this, pull that off, set that aside for now. And then there's a little plate here that needs to come out, so we're very carefully going to remove it. Hopefully we're not destroying the stylus on the turntable. Okay, so that pulls out. We're going to take the dust cover off. I found this turntable at Goodwill, one of my favorite places to find vintage electronics. Hopefully you support your local Goodwill store. Alright, and we're going to remove that. I've already taken the screws out, obviously, so there's the reason why I can get in it so quickly. Let's move the camera over and we'll get to what makes this turntable so amazing. So you say, well, you know, a turntable is a pretty simple thing, right? It's a needle and a tone arm and a turntable, a platter that spins. Well, this one's got a completely highly advanced computer system on the inside. Over on the left, you have the power supply system. In the middle here, you have the transport system, or the motorized system. This is direct drive. There is absolutely no belt. There is no roller. There is nothing that makes the turntable move, with the exception of a motor. And I'll show you that by pulling this off. Underneath, you'll see a magnet, and this magnet is basically propelled by a series of electromagnets on this board here. And that gives you very precise control. You don't have to worry about distortion from a belt that wears out or becomes loose or is too tight. So you have a free moving mechanism there. Over here you have the computer that controls the system and detects songs and knows when the end of the record is, etc. On the back here you have the transport for the turntable itself, and there are two motors that make up this system. This one here raises and lowers the tone arm or the stylus on the record, and then this particular motor here actually moves this along a track here. All right, so this is what is called linear tracking. Linear tracking tracks a record in the exact same way that it was recorded, in a straight line. All right, so your cheap or cheaper, well, especially your cheap ones. Not all cheap turntables are cheap in the sense that they don't track properly, but this is the most accurate way to track a record, because you're tracking it or playing it back in the exact same way in which it was recorded in a straight line. So when the grooves are cut into the master, they are done in the very same way that this one is playing it back. It does it in a straight line. It has a sensor here so that when the tone arm moves to the left, it advances the system, and it actually works in both directions, all right, left or right. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put the platter back on so that you can see how this works. And by the way, this is just the coolest thing ever, how this can do this, all right? So I'm going to take a record that probably doesn't have a whole lot of copyright on it and make YouTube really angry at me for playing something that is copyrighted. I'm sure this is actually copyrighted, but anyway. All right, so let's take a look here. So we're going to play a record, and in order to do so, all we have to do is go over to the front on the controls, and we're just going to hit start, and the system will go right on over. This is the 8 Seasons of Chromalox, which is some kind of a record that was introduced to people who bought air conditioners. So I guess if you bought an air conditioner, you got this groovy record. This was back in the 70s when records made wonderful gifts back then. Alright, so let's say I don't like this particular song. I want to skip to the second song. All I got to do is go over here to the front, hit the number 2. The turntable is going to go across the record and find the second track. Alright, we were a little late there on the cue itself. Alright, let's say I want to skip 2 tracks ahead. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to press 4. And I'm going to take number 2 off. I don't want to hear it anymore. Now notice we're not hearing anything until the song starts. So typically what it does is if it sees that it's started too late, it will mute the audio until the next song actually starts, which is a really cool feature. If I wanted to play the same song over and over, I could do that with this turntable. Alright, let's demonstrate that again. We're going to go back and play the second track again. So I'm going to de-release number 4 and press 2 on the front control panel. Then it goes back and then it's going to count. Boom. And there again it played a little bit of the previous track before playing the next one. Alright, so if I count, I always count with the first groove first. Alright, so here's the first song, second song, third song, fourth song. So there's really only 4 songs on here anyway. So let's do the fourth one again, just so you can see it demonstrated. By the way, I do not listen to goofy music like this all the time. I'm using a record that's hopefully doesn't have any thing that anybody cares about as far as copyright goes. And then once again, we're just going to mute until the song actually begins. And then the song starts. Alright, so I'm just hitting the stop button there in the front. So what did it take to get this turntable going? Obviously this turntable had been sitting for quite some time. The motors just kind of needed to be exercised a little bit, kind of loosen them up, and I did replace 2 belts on those motors that we saw earlier. Both of those belts are new belts. But luckily everything else about this turntable was ready to go out of the box. Let's see what a 45 RPM record is going to sound like or look like. Alright, and then you can see how it switches speeds. This is a kid's record, but it was brand new in the box. And this is being made right around Christmas time, so why not play a little Christmas tune? A groovy Christmas tune from the 70s. And I want to pull this down just so you can see it change speed there and detect it. So let's change the focus. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to hit start, which is right here underneath the light. Now watch when it notices it's a 45. Boom! There it is. It says, hey, this is a 45. I'm going to play a 45, and I know where to start it at as well. Let's say I don't like this song. I want to go to the second one. Let's see if we can do that. Press number 2 on the front panel. And it's going to mute until it detects the next song is ready to start. And there it goes. And let's go back and hear the first track again. And then this will conclude our demonstration today.